school year, to say the least. Not only are our children getting acclimated with this new e-learning and all of these new requirements with using technology, they're also dealing with things outside of school, and of course things that are outside of everybody's control. So I would like to say that just very thankful for all of our families. We understand the patience that you have exhibited, the resilience, and the flexibility to make sure that we have a successful and positive school year for all of our children. As a parent of kids at Rowlett, the elementary and the middle school, we know what you guys are doing as families at home. We know the extra time that you're putting in with your children to go over the things that they went over the school day, also to help them with their technology, and also to take time to listen to them, to make sure you're meeting their social emotional needs. Because we do a lot of talking on campus with making sure that we are not only meeting our kids where they are academically, but making sure that we are listening to them and making sure they're doing well on the inside. Because if kids aren't doing well on the inside, it's hard for them to learn. So we really focus on social emotional learning, not only in our ELearning class, but across the day. And even though we have masks and it's hard to sometimes see that a kid is sad or see their facial expressions, building those important relationships, we think really does lead to not only better academic success, but making sure kids want to come to school and are having fun at school. So there's been some productive struggle this school year, not only at Rowlett Middle, but across the country and in our county. And we think together we'll continue to grow each quarter. We ask our students to just get a little better every day and to put their best foot forward. And as a school, we do the same. As a principal, that's my charge every day. And we just continue to improve every day. So today we're going to go over the agenda. This is less of a lecture and more of a conversation amongst family members about some things that are taking place on campus. There are some changes coming forward next quarter. All of you have heard about those changes. You'll have an opportunity to hear about what those changes look like, and then we're going to have a forum where you can ask specific questions, and we can give you honest answers and maybe provide some insight to questions that you may have had. Okay. So and also, like I said, this is a conversation. So while we're talking, you can raise your hand or write something in the chat, and we have a few people who are going to be monitoring that can ask the question, and we'll just have a conversation during this time. We will respect your time, but please know that you don't have to wait for us to finish each of these agenda items prior to asking your question. All right. So hello. So like I was saying before, we spent a lot of time over the summer preparing for the unknown, preparing for August, and I think we did a great job as a community, parents included. We had a think tank that we really went over best practice. We looked at CDC guidance. We looked at what other schools were doing successfully around the country, and we put together a plan for August. But there was a lot of unknown, right? So we had to create a plan without really knowing what school would be like. And in Manatee County, we were one of the first counties in the state to open back up for face-to-face learning. And we learned a lot. And other districts have learned from us, quite frankly. But I'm proud of the hard work of our students and staff and our families. And I think some of the updates that we are making moving forward into second quarter will be beneficial to all. And we'll be able to go into more detail about what our instructional plan will look like for second quarter. Ms. Erickson is going to share that with you. We're going to talk about communication during these challenging times. Communication is so essential now. We're also going to talk about ways that we can increase participation amongst our parents. And I know it's difficult during e-learning, but we think that there are some creative ways that we can continue to allow parents to be involved. And then we'll reserve some time at the end for more Q&A. So starting out with the principal update, I've already talked to you a little bit about, just how proud of everybody I am, and we are as an admin team. we've listened to students, staff, and parents. We sent out surveys to get valuable feedback from you. And with that feedback, we've created a plan moving forward. There are some things we will be maintaining on campus because we value them. And we think we're really putting forth the correct amount of effort in these areas. And then there are some other areas we will be providing updates. So in some of those areas that we're going to be providing updates for second quarter is we're transitioning to a block schedule. Ms. Erickson will kind of touch on that a little bit. We're creating more opportunities for face-to-face learning. Within our surveys of students, staff, and parents, one thing that we had a consensus on is we wanted to maintain a safe learning environment, yes, but we also want to make sure we're creating and providing more face-to-face opportunities for our students on campus. So we feel as though there are ways for us to have more kids on campus, but also make sure we're providing quality education in a safe manner. And we think that our block scheduling will be able to balance that. And another thing that we'll be implementing second quarter is sports. So we decided first quarter to go along with the district and not offer sports at the middle school level. And we've revisited that, and starting second quarter, we're going to bring back some sports, and we're just going to make sure we're implementing those safety precautions there as well. Some of the things that are maintaining, and we're actually kicking up a notch, is our safety mitigation efforts on campus. We are still requiring masks on our campus. Each of our staff members are required to wear a mask on campus, and we are asking all of our students to also wear a mask or a face covering, which is a better way to state it, a face covering on campus. We will also continue temp checks. So every staff member gets their temperature checked when they get on campus, and each student that comes on campus gets their temperature checks. In the car loop, we're checking temperatures. When kids get off of the bus, we're checking temperatures. And also when kids come to the Rowlett's Roost program, they're getting their temperatures checked. So that is something that we'll be able to maintain as we move forward in the second quarter. I think one of the biggest things that we do that helps with a safe environment is just the culture of people feeling secure with staying home if they're not feeling well. So students and staff, we really make it clear that it's okay if you don't feel well. We want you to stay home, and we provide a way for staff to be able to stay home if they're not feeling well, and they can still Zoom and engage with their class. Students, we're telling families and students that if they're not feeling well to stay home, they can utilize their iPad and Google Classroom to stay engaged with their classroom, and they're not marked absent, and they don't miss a beat in class. So we think that is awesome that our staff and our students have really accepted that, and we think that is a way that we'll continue to maintain and minimize health issues on our campus. Communication, we want to keep up with the communication that we're utilizing. Blooms, the website, Google Classroom, phone calls, old school phone calls, of course, and the newsletter. All of these are ways that we can communicate, and we want to continue to drive people to the website and also utilize Blooms, which parents can also communicate with teachers using Blooms. And our academic expectations. We found, as the school year started, we just had to do a lot of listening to our students. And we really found that we needed to slow down instruction for them, especially our sixth graders that were coming into a new campus, a lot of new information, academic expectations. So we took the liberty as a campus to slow down instruction. We eliminated homework. So students that have work after school, it's that they're completing work that wasn't done throughout the school day. So we slowed down a little bit, but we also want to make sure we're still stretching our high achieving and our gifted students, and also making sure we're showing growth in our struggling learners as well. So we want to make sure we're catering to all students on our campus. And I think some of the changes that we made mid-quarter are really going to really went to helping out all of our students, not only academically, but social emotionally as well. Okay, and Hero. Well, we want to make sure the kids are still having fun on campus. So we started back doing our raffles. We've been having Kona Ice on campus, and we just really want to shine a light on kids, just making sure they're having fun, they're being engaged in class, and by next quarter, they're going to be able to start transitioning to their classes. We think that that will also assist with their social emotional well-being on our campus. So that's a little bit of an update. Today is the last day, essentially, for tomorrow is the last day for students in first quarter. So teachers are providing multiple opportunities for students to make up assignments and try to get the highest grade possible in their class. Monday will be record day, and teachers will be finalizing grades and preparing for next quarter. In a few weeks, we'll also be having conference night where students who have D's and F's and are struggling academically, they'll have meetings with their teachers and discussing ways that we can better support those students in the classroom and at home. So that's a little bit of my principal update. Before we move to the next item on the agenda, wanted to kind of open it up for any questions about any of those things that we discussed, and just maybe hear from our families a little bit in regards to any of those updates. Okay, all right. So we'll keep moving. And if you have questions or comments, please let us know. I see there are a few questions in the chat. Let's see here. All right. So increase parent involvement. So at Rowlett Middle, our goal is to always make sure parents feel welcome on campus, but also to get involved. And there are so many different ways to get involved on our campus. And we want our school to be a little non-traditional in regards to middle school. We want parents to feel welcome on campus, but we also want kids to want their parents on campus. How novel of an idea is it to want kids to enjoy their parents being on campus and not feel like it's not cool? So although right now we have not opened up the lunch with friends or lunch with parents, we are looking for opportunities in the future to be able to do that, where families can begin coming on campus. So more information about that will come. But in regards to just parent involvement, it's going to look different. It's a little bit of a paradigm shift during COVID and e-learning. Since parents aren't spending as much time on campus, we'd like to think outside the box for ways to allow parents to get involved, whether it's helping a teacher out from at home, being able to maybe do some things with not grading, but maybe collecting things or organizing or preparing materials for a class, or helping the front office prepare for a special event. There's a lot of things that can be done at home that we're learning. And we just wanted to explore some additional ways or ideas that parents can become more involved on campus. So if anybody has any ideas, or anybody from the admin team wants to discuss anything that we'd heard before, or things that are happening at the elementary school level that could benefit us at the middle school, I think now would be a good time to discuss those ideas. And you can just shout out if you have something to add.
I have something to add.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Gordon.
I was really wanting to, at the beginning of the school year, to make sure that especially any new family to Rowlett who hadn't been in the elementary school, but also new in 6th or 7th or 8th grade, maybe could reach out and we could form like a new parent group so that people have other people for support. I think that's hugely important, especially since none of us are on campus right now, to help others feel comfortable and warm and secure on campus with questions and things to support everybody.
Thank you, Ms. Gordon. Great idea. A few things that we're talking about as we move to second quarter, and we're not completely like last year yet, but little by little we're starting to create more opportunities for students to get involved, whether it's through sports or moving around more so on campus in a safe way. But I know our kids miss a lot of the events that we have on campus. So I think thinking about some creative ways for students to maybe be able to get together on campus in a safe way, whether it's, I've heard ideas about movie night or dances, things of that nature. These are a lot of the events that a lot of our parents get very involved in on our campus, which is a little different than the elementary school. So we want to still provide those opportunities for our students because we know that they need them right now. Those connections is what we feel our kids are missing. And not only our kids, but all kids. And we know that they'll do better holistically if we continue to build those relationships and give them opportunities to connect with students, other students, and staff in a safe way. So we'll continue to think about that. What we ask is we want to continue to see people at the SAC meetings. So invite a friend for the next time. And being that it's on Zoom, we're learning that there are a lot of things during COVID-19, during this transformational year, that we'll hold on to after the dust settles and all this is over. There are some positives to some of these platforms that we're using, Zoom being one of them, which, you know, it's hard for families to get home, make sure the kids are fed, pick them up at different schools, do all of those things, and then get back to school. Maybe providing more opportunities for Zoom meetings, whether it's parents getting together to talk about what they can do to support the school, or we hold meetings like this. I think having Zoom access just frees people up that are already very busy and they want to contribute, but they just don't have the time. So that is definitely one. Some of the safety precautions that we're taking on campus, we will continue, because we feel like, you know, there are some things with the continuous hand washing and making sure we're being safe on campus that we will continue as well. So parent involvement is the key to success at Rowlett and Rowlett Middle, and we always aim to add more parents. Although involvement looks a little different at middle school than it does in elementary school, I still am pleased to know that we have more parent involvement at the middle school level than most schools that I've been at. And because of you, we're able to do that, and it really makes an impact in your child. So what separates Rowlett and Rowlett Middle from other schools? Parent involvement. All right, communication. So we always talk about continuous improvement on our campus. And so in order to do that, we have to reflect and look at how things have been going. So we're continuously reflecting on in class what we did that day. Did kids learn that lesson? If not, we go back and reteach the things that they didn't learn. As an administrative team, we're looking back at fourth quarter. So what did we learn from fourth quarter? What are some things that during that challenging time that we learned from? And we took those things and tried to implement them in first quarter. Now, as we're knocking on the door of second quarter, we're looking back to the beginning of the year and really trying to reflect on those things and what can we do better. And one of the big rocks from fourth quarter, what we learned is how important communication is, and making sure we can get in contact with our families and our kids for that matter. So that's why we're really making sure that we use Blooms for parent communication. I know you're receiving a lot of that communication. Ms. Levy is really doing an awesome job with that. But using Blooms and checking it frequently, you'll be able to see updates on what's going on campus, but you'll also be able to communicate with your child's teacher. So we really are doubling down on the use of Blooms as our number one communication tool during these times. And the more of our parents that are engaged on Blooms, the more you know what's going on in their classroom. So that's one thing that we want to continue to promote, and we appreciate you guys checking Blooms often. The website, we're really trying to drive a lot of our conversations that are happening on social media or questions. We're trying to drive them to our website. So again, Ms. Levy is really doing a good job by updating our website, having the most important information on the splash screen or on the front page of the website, and then we are continuously updating that with information that we know our parents need to hear and see. Google Classroom, our students are very savvy and very comfortable with Google Classroom now. We've been using it since we opened, so we've been a 21st century school since we opened. So now we're just digging a little deeper and we're really giving students those skills in their tool belt to help them be successful with technology, with emails, with how to send an appropriate email when you think your teacher maybe didn't grade the assignment, and making sure you're using your manners and leadership when it comes to that. So those are the things that we are learning, and Google Classroom is a great way to do that. Phone calls, and of course the newsletter, which just came out this week, if I'm not mistaken. So these are some ways that we are communicating, and we just want to continue to make sure parents are engaged. And we're making phone calls. If I need to start doing home visits, which we're talking about, I'll do that too, or carrier pigeons, or whatever it takes. We need to get the information to you, but also make sure families feel comfortable coming on campus and calling to make sure they get the answers they need. And we have more Spanish-speaking staff members, so we can make sure our Spanish-speaking families are comfortable calling and coming on campus as well. Anything to add, Ms. Levy, in regards to communication at RMA?
Not really. You really covered everything really well. As you mentioned, we're trying to utilize our more official methods, the website and Blooms and whatnot. We know many of you are probably members of our Facebook page. And, what I like to say there is that it's really intended to be more of a parent-to-parent group. So, asking an official question there may not always get you, an official answer. We do have lots of helpful staff members, myself included, who are willing to answer those questions. But, we want everyone to have that best information. So, the website, Blooms, and sometimes just a good old-fashioned phone call are the best ways to get that information. But I'm just very excited where we're heading. We're seeing lots of good stuff from our families on Facebook. We're hearing they're referring to the website more. So it's a learning curve for us.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So any questions about any of those tools that you're using, Blooms, Google Classroom? We've created a parent tech help page that any parent can go on and view some of these informational videos, and it'll just give you some more familiarity with some of these websites. That site is also for our kids. So they are able to go on there and view these informational videos, how-to videos, to make sure that they are understanding what these apps are and how they can be utilized, and some troubleshooting in regards to some of these websites. All right. And if there are no questions in regards to communication, we'll go ahead and move on to the second quarter instructional plan, which I know all of you had an opportunity to voice your opinion on and give feedback. Sorry for the multiple surveys, but we really wanted to hear from you, and we really wanted to hear from our staff. And the plan that we have moving forward is taking information and feedback from staff, students, and parents, and we think it's the third alternative and a win-win for second quarter. And I'll pass it off to Ms. Erickson, who can give you some more details about what second quarter will look like and how it'll kind of change from first quarter.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here with us today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what the instructional block schedule is going to look like. Let's see here. Okay, bear with me while I pull this up. Okay, so we are very excited to be able to transition very safely, in our opinion, to a 4-period block day. So currently our students actually spend the majority of their time in their ELearning class, and then they transition one time during the day to and from their electives, and they alternate electives. We have A-day electives and B-day electives. So what we're looking forward to doing beginning on Tuesday is allowing students to transition between 4 classes. So we're going to be alternating between odd days and even days. Odd days are going to be where we start. So on Tuesday, when students come to school, they're actually going to head directly to their ELearning class, which is their first period class. We have had to make a few schedule changes with some changing modalities of students. So students who are on campus will remain with their same ELearning teacher. However, some students who are hybrid and some of our e-learner students may have changed ELearning classes. We are going to make sure, though, when all students come on campus on Tuesday, we will have every staff member available out in the car rider line, in the bus loop, to make sure that students know exactly where to go for first period on Tuesday. We're treating it basically like the first day of school all over again. And we do know, especially with our sixth graders who have not been on campus, it is you know, it's a little overwhelming at times to think about going to a campus where you've never been, but we assure you we're going to take very good care of your children to make sure that they get to their first period safely and without any problems. So you can see here, I'm not going to go over the times. You can see we are going to be sharing this out once again through Blooms. We'll send a map of the campus out. We'll send the schedule out. We'll probably send a bus schedule out too, since some of our e-learners have not ridden the bus yet. We want to make sure that everyone knows what time the stops will be, what time the bus will be at the different stops. But essentially, again, students will go to their odd periods on the odd day, or we call it the A day, where I think we're going to change it to odd day because we have A and B hybrid students, and it's getting kind of confusing with A's and B's. So we'll just call this odd. So the odd day, I'm even going to change it while we speak because this actually got brought up earlier today. So you're living on the fly with me. So on our odd day, students will go to first, third, fifth, and seventh period. And on the even days, students will go to their second, fourth, sixth, and eighth period. We haven't built in actual passing periods into the schedule because we are going to be very fluid, particularly at the beginning, knowing that it's going to take students a little bit of time to know where their classes are. And this happens even in a traditional 8-period day. We're always very flexible the first couple of weeks of school, but particularly now, we have many one-way walkways to help the flow of traffic to minimize contact between students. So we do know that transitions are going to take a little bit longer this next quarter than usual. So we're going to start letting the sixth graders transition to their next class first. Once the sixth graders get settled, we'll move the seventh graders to their classes, and then the eighth graders. So we will actually only have one grade level out in the hallways at a time during passing periods. And of course, as we always do, we have different lunch schedules to accommodate 3 different groups of lunches. Our lunches will still continue to be outside or in the shade or in classrooms if teachers are interested in having their classes eat with them. Teachers are going to be at the accepting students into the classroom beginning at 8 o'clock. Buses arrive from 8 o'clock to about 8:15, but if parents want to arrive early between 7:45 and 8 o'clock, we do have staff members that will be supervising students in the outside hallways until teachers open their classrooms at 8. So school officially begins at 8:15. We'll have about 15 minutes for students to get in, get settled, make sure their iPads are charged and powered on and no tech issues, sharpen pencils, housekeeping, things like that, before our first period block begins at 8:30. Looking at my notes to see what else interesting you may want to know. Our afternoon announcements begin at 3 o'clock and dismissal begins shortly thereafter. We will continue to use our safe dismissal system where we have projected in the classrooms on our Apple TVs, students in their 7th or 8th period class, when parents come through the car rider line, there is a number displayed in the dashboard. If you have not experienced our safe dismissal system yet, I'm very confident you're going to enjoy the efficiency of the system. You'll have a placard with a number that is associated with your child or your children. You'll come through the line. One of our awesome paraprofessionals will take the number down, and then that translates to your child's 7th or 8th period class. So they will know it's time for them to head out to the car rider line. And hopefully those of you who have experienced it are loving it. It's a new system for us, and we certainly are enjoying it. It's making our dismissal period much easier. Buses will stagger as we have for dismissal. We dismiss buses as they arrive to campus. So again, we really are minimizing the amount of students out in the hall at any given time to help mitigate any potential contact. And of course, students are wearing their masks while they're on campus, or their face covering over their nose and their mouth, with the exception, of course, if they're eating or if they're exercising or taking a mask break. That is all I can think of to share with you about our new instructional block. We're very excited, as I mentioned, we're excited that students are going to be able to be face-to-face with their teachers, to be able to ask and answer questions with their teachers and with their peers. We know that not only are academics incredibly important for students, but we also know that particularly in middle school, the social emotional well-being of our students is, incredibly important no matter the age level, but particularly in middle school, we know that socialization piece is incredibly important for students, and we're excited to be able to introduce more of that coming up on Tuesday.
Ms. Erickson,
go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there is a question in the chat that I thought you might want to address, specifically regarding schedule changes. If a student's ELead teacher has changed, will they know where to report?
So again, once students come on campus, we will be able to have the lists of ELeads for students if they are not sure where their ELead is. If they were e-learners and are coming on campus for the first time, they can go to their traditional ELead teacher. All of our teachers on campus are going to have lists of ELead classes where students need to go, and we'll make sure that the student gets to their correct spot.
So you would say report to ELead if nothing else, and then they'll head you in the right direction.
Absolutely, absolutely. Report to ELead, and if students are not sure where their ELead class is, they can certainly ask one of us, and we'll have a list of those so we can make sure kids get to the right spot.
Thank you.
Great question.
I would love to say, at the beginning of the school year, we typically have a little bit of time prior to the start of school, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where families can get on Focus and look to see what the schedules are. But we are unable to, the user view, even ourselves are having a very difficult time because we aren't able to see into the future. Focus does not allow us to pull up a future date. So it's really difficult. We would normally say check Focus and you can see what the first period class is if it's changed, but those are actually not going to change until the morning of, I think it's midnight actually, or the morning of Tuesday the 13th. So typically, like I said, we would say check Focus, but those changes aren't going to reflect until Tuesday morning. So again, we know it's going to be, a little bit, if students are coming on campus for the first time, our e-learners, they may be a little apprehensive, but I promise you we're going to make sure they get to the right spot.
Yeah, we'll have a team of people out with clipboards, classes, welcoming them, and making them feel welcome on campus. So we know we're going to get a number of students on campus, right? We know about 20%, would you say, Ms. Erickson, of our families that are choosing e-learning. And
Yes.
then the other 80%, I think my math is right. The other 80% will be a combination of the hybrid students, and the majority of those will be face-to-face learning. So, we're
very excited about.
We're very excited about that, and we're still gonna keep these safety mitigation practices in play. We'll be, cleaning classrooms during the day. We'll be making sure that we're staggering class changes. So we're gonna have 6th graders go to class first. And then after they get in class, then we're going to have the 7th graders go next, and then the 8th graders, just so we can prevent, traffic jams or congestion in the hallway. Of course, students are still going to have on their masks when they're outside, and of course, on the inside of class. We also have some other resources on campus, like these desk shields that we have available. We also have face shields. So we have an array of things on campus that we have been using all quarter, but we're going to continue these safety mitigation practices in addition to the temperature checks and things of that nature. Any additional questions about that, our second quarter instructional plan? And we think that block scheduling is a plan that's not a temporary plan. We really feel as though this can be beneficial to our campus. Está bien. Espérate, por favor. 30 minutos, por favor. Okay? Thank you.
Mr. Clark, you're showing off your bilingual skills.
Well, not as good as I'd like to. Forgot what I was saying.
I also forgot what you were saying.
Oh, I think we're just talking about these safety mitigation efforts.
Oh, the shields and the
so
yes, and we have some. The shields are available. We have one for every student. If students were interested in using shields in addition to their masks, and the dust shields are available as well.
Right. So I think I was asking if anybody had any additional questions about just how the block will look, and maybe what other changes that will be coming out from that. Teachers will be communicating with families and just kind of giving you the structure of what that 90-minute block will look like in their class. They'll also be communicating with e-learners, and they'll be telling those students when exactly they need to log on each of those class periods in order to participate in class. So there will be some changes to how that instruction looks, but largely most things will stay the same. It'll just be most kids will be on campus, and we still have that 20% that will be e-learning. Okay.
Mr. Clark, we've had some other questions come through in the chat, and I can just kind of go through some of those right now if you'd like.
Perfect.
So this one was an earlier question, but wondering if there's the possibility for a Halloween dance that was so popular like last year.
Speaking my language, it is. That's my favorite. If we didn't use the word Halloween, we could use another term.
Mm-hmm.
The elementary is doing it. I was talking to my wife about this just yesterday. We were signing up, my son, a third grader, for the trunk or treat. And typically we have a dance. That's our thing. We do a dance during that time, and the elementary school does trunk or treat. So, and that's what I mean by just finding creative, out of the box ways that we can make sure our kids are still having fun and loving school. We don't want to see that light in their eyes begin to dim. And some of the things that they're just used to doing at school, we want to find alternative ways of still making sure that they're enjoying their learning experience. So I'm not quite sure it would be the best course of action to have an actual dance right now. I'm going to be honest. As much as I want it, as much as I want to get out there and out dance all those kids, I don't think it would be the right time right now. But I think that we can maybe plan something for maybe after we go for holiday break. I'm not quite sure, but I would like to think outside the box and think of some ways that we can make sure our kids are getting engaged. I couldn't imagine having a dance in here. We usually have 300 to 400 kids in there, maybe not 4, but there's about 300 kids in there, and it's pretty packed. And although with the holiday or Halloween dance, usually they have on masks, so that might be great. That would be.
I don't think it's the right kind of mask, Mr. Clark. I'm not sure they're going to cover nose and mouth.
I'm trying here, but in all honesty, I would like to figure something like that out. But I just don't think October would be the right call to do so. As much as I hate saying it, it's like me having to cancel sports first quarter. I didn't like doing it, former athlete, but I thought it was the right thing to do.
Well, you're getting some thumbs up. I think some folks might agree with you, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, I'm going thumbs down. I'm not happy about it.
We have another question regarding visitation with the guidance counselor, since we were talking that social emotional key.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there an opportunity for parents and students to meet together with guidance if that were needed?
Yes, ma'am. And you remember when I was talking about just opportunities to really leverage some of these things that we're doing during COVID-19 that we'll probably keep in the future? Zoom conferences, whether it's for conference night or to see a guidance counselor, it's awesome. So we have already set up a room in our front office for students to Zoom with their counselor. So we have, and Ms. Erickson, please remind me of what the form is called. But we have a form now that's on our website. We want parents to have access to it, students to have access to it, to where you can let us know if there is an issue with your child that requires a guidance counselor. And if there's an opportunity that the guidance counselor can Zoom with that child or with the parent, we can set that up. So Zoom gives us the flexibility to be able to do so. So very much so. You can coordinate that with the guidance counselor, and it could maybe be something that you don't have to leave work for. We can do it during the day. We can call this kid down. If it's an e-learner, everybody could be in their remote locations and Zooming. It really just gives us more freedom and flexibility to have these meaningful conversations. So
and
yeah.
to help direct you to that resource, if you go to our RowlettMiddleAcademy.org website and go to students, the very, very last tab under students is called Counselor's Corner. And it actually has the direct phone extension to our guidance counselors, as well as student services referral form, and lots and lots of links to resources such as grief counseling, family resources, and things like that. So we encourage you to check the students tab, and at the very bottom is Counselor's Corner, and there's a lot of resources and links available to you.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Erickson. And very proud of our counseling team. We were a little proactive, and in the spring, we knew that a big rock for us was just having more guidance support, being able to have those constructive conversations with students, not only about graduating high school and what you need to do so, but also more opportunities to just listen to kids and provide that social emotional support. So we fought and created room in our budget to add another guidance counselor on our campus. Traditional middle schools, over a certain amount of kids, 500 kids about, usually has two guidance counselors. And that's something that we really lobbied for, and we were able to make that happen. And we're glad that we did that, because I don't know of any, scholarly educational magazine that isn't talking about social emotional learning and adding more guidance support for our students and for our staff, for that matter. So that's something that we're really investing in, and that's why we created that form. So if you have any questions about academics or connecting your family to resources, please call us or use that form, and someone will be getting back with you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. This is probably a nice time to share a comment.
Okay.
This parent would like to praise RMA in having a well thought out plan for students transitioning from one modality to another. They said far ahead of others, and kudos.
Well, thank you. Do you see these gray hairs? They're this is thank you very much, but this is not a one person thing. My dad always says many hands make light work, and our parents are really included. That feedback was paramount for us to be able to make a educated decision. It really was. And our staff members were important, our students. But the tough thing is right now things are just so polarized that everybody has different needs based on their own family situation. In the classroom, we call that differentiating, making sure that you can meet the needs of all of those kids in the classroom. And we're really trying our best to do that. We know that we can't make everybody happy. We understand that, but hopefully parents understand that we are really considering each of your children individually and collectively when we're making these decisions, and we always welcome that feedback. And sometimes we may not agree, but maybe that feedback that you provide to us really could give us some insight on a third alternative, is what we call it in 7 Habits language, and something that we wouldn't have been able to come up with had it not been from some of those other opinions. So we really do value that, and that's how we want to move forward. And it's not over. We still mid after second quarter, we need to sit down and revisit, just like the district. The district is having some tough decisions right now. How do they move forward with second quarter? And there aren't a lot of answers out there or a lot of support. So thank you for those comments, but we couldn't do it without you and our staff, and we'll need that continued support as we move forward.
Thank you. Another question. regarding face-to-face instrument and music instruction, will that take on more of a traditional style, or be less or iPad based, etc.? What is that going to look like in Q2?
Excellent question.
I can answer that, actually. Can I jump in?
Thank you.
Because I feel like I haven't talked enough, so I want to jump in. No. So we actually have relocated some of our larger band classes, for example, into the cafeteria to maximize the space and social distancing. So we actually have had our band classes have continued to play. Similarly, our orchestra classes have been using the foyer, if you will, the foyer in the arts building to spread out to be able to play as well. So I think that you will find that if your students have been e-learning, once they come on campus, they will have a similar experience to previous years, albeit a little bit more spread out than typical years.
Great answer, Ms. Erickson. And we in thinking about how to open up, we really had to do some soul searching and some reflecting. What are we all about? What is our school mission? What do we want? Who do we want to be? And we wanted to make sure that the arts weren't taken away from what we're doing on campus, because that is some of the sunlight that some of our kids see. Some kids really get their passion and their love of school from the arts, and we infuse the arts into everything. So we wanted to maintain the arts. I know some of you know there were some decisions made in the district that they decided to move away from the arts. We understand why, because it is hard to logistically keep a lot of those things and also have enough teachers to teach the subjects. But we really tried to make an investment in our arts teachers and our arts programs, and we've tried to balance having them play or participate in the arts while being safe. So, for instance, band, we moved them to the cafeteria, so there's more space. But we also added they're like little masks that go on the end of an instrument that help. We have the same thing in orchestra. Our chorus kids, if they're singing, they're going outside or doing different things. So we're just trying to be as safe as possible, and trying to be proactive in regards to some of these things. And we just, as we have more information, we try to implement it and just try our best to err on the side of safety and caution.
Thank you. Another question, and this will probably wrap up all the questions that were pending in the chat. Will their ELead teacher still be one of their subject area teachers?
Great question.
We paired students to the best of our ability with their ELead teachers. So while we can't guarantee it, please do know that we put as much effort as we possibly could into pairing. It all depended on numbers, and we really wanted to try to distribute class loads as much as possible. So we did our very best to keep students paired with their ELead teacher, but there were some instances where we weren't able to do that due to numbers. But I can with confidence say, if your child has an ELead teacher that is not one of their teachers, it's just another wonderful educator that's going to help contribute to their success this school year.
Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Erickson, that's mostly just the e-learners, right?
Correct. Correct. So the students that were on campus full-time will have their same ELead teacher. Students that were hybrid and that are remaining hybrid, we did have to consolidate hybrid classes due to an increased number of students coming on campus. So a couple of our hybrid classes we did turn into face-to-face for our oncoming, our e-learners who are coming on campus. But again, for the most part, we were able to match students up. Our guidance counselors and Ms. Hanasek, our registrar, have done a great job of placing students in ELead classes. And again, to the best of their ability, paired them up with the teacher that they have as one of their core classes or elective classes.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson, for that. Wanted to wait a few seconds just to make sure nobody else had any additional questions before I kind of wrap things up. But I must say, we just can't thank you enough. Parent involvement the secret ingredient to our success here, and we just want to continue to grow that. And we thank you for your participation. This is a productive struggle year, and really finding the important things to focus on and making sure our kids are doing and feeling good both inside and outside of the classroom are things that we really try to implement. And second quarter, there will be a little bit of change, but we think it'll be welcomed by all stakeholders. And we just greatly appreciate your support.